I think I'm just going to go ahead and go live on Facebook too. I'm going to go ahead and go live on Facebook too.
Will you make it? Can you still hear me okay, Holly?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm just trying to open up a different browser here. Hold on.
I was putting headphones in so the fish didn't have to hear me talking.
Oh, it's going into this Facebook and I don't know my, that's okay. I'll just post the recording when we get up there. So let me get back to the right page and we will get started. All right, so today we are going to talk about upsell your listing. And Tori Young is going to explain more about this company and how it can be an awesome resource for some of your sellers. So it's going to be definitely a target audience for this product, but the way I look at it is, as a realtor and as a professional, you need to be providing solutions to your clients. And so when you're positioned and partner with all types of different companies that can service a need, then you are really perceived as that expert that goes the extra mile and really understands the market and understands how to leverage your knowledge. So I'm going to go ahead and let Tori take over and we can hop in with some questions. Again, the company is Upsell My Listing and I have the website up. And with that, I will just kind of let Tori take over and tell us a little bit about how it all started and where it's going and how you're helping sellers all over Atlanta. So thank you.
Awesome. Hey, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It's great to be here. Forgive my attire. I'm actually in Montana fly fishing, but it's such a big deal to me that we continue to partner with awesome agents that I definitely wanted to just take a few minutes and do this, and was really excited that you set this up, Holly. So thank you so much. Yeah. So the way that that upsell came to to pass, I was just really observing all the things that were going on in the market. We all know about the iBuyers and the different, I would say, companies that are trying to be disruptors within the real estate community. And, the more I studied it, the more that I realized that the main disruptor or the people that were going to be disrupted were going to be real estate agents with these new, hopefully fads, but you never know, right? So having said that, looking at all the the money that buyers were willing or sellers were willing to leave on the table as a result of dealing with an iBuyer, it made me think, my goodness, what if we could just begin to unpack hidden equity for that homeowner? You kind of get in a mindset, I think, as a homeowner of kind of static, and my house is what it is and it's the way that it is, and I haven't done anything to update it in forever. And so you kind of just put certain mile markers in place of what you expect from a home when you go to sell. And that's not always the case. I mean, some people have, visions of grandeur, and you're like, really? Like, you haven't done anything since 1967, and those refrigerators are not still in style. So it's kind of, the concept is to take and create a pathway for the largest amount of buyers that are willing to pay, top dollars. So it's that 80-20% concept, but in reverse. So in other words, if we can look to creating a path forward within a home that 80% of the buyers are super attracted to, then that's a big deal. And that becomes, a way more marketable thing for you as a real estate agent. So the idea was to, really treat the agent as kind of the hero in this story. It's a silver bullet for you to have as a tool in your tool shed, kind of approach. And it's something that's novel and different. the concept behind it is, you know, we come in as a company. We have our own in-house designers. We actually stay on top of what trends are, you know, really in place, and, you know, and try to find the most attractive, most and welcoming ones. We go into a home, we assess the home, and price it out. And then we, of course, do the work all in-house, which allows us to perform that quicker than any GC that I know. And then at the end of the day, we don't get paid until the house sells. So we are truly partnering with you as an agent, your homeowner as well. And we're putting our money where our mouth is. So we're not going to be trying to, you know, suggest outlandish things or things that are going to be super expensive that would take longer for us to get our money out of the project as well. So all in all, it's designed to be streamlined. It's designed to be as cost effective as possible. And then, of course, it's designed to help your client maximize the amount of you know, investment that they're putting into their home. And, you know, a lot of folks will think, I don't really want to put money into my home that I'm getting ready to leave. And they have to view it as more of an investment on a return. And what we've seen through the years is, you know, for every dollar you put in, you're getting $1.50 out of it. But the funny thing is, a lot of folks right now are of the mindset of, I don't have to do anything. I can just sell my property for top dollar as is and not even touch it. And that's true. But what they're missing out on is the ability to maximize so much better of a return than we've ever seen. The folks that have decided to use our program right now are seeing anywhere from, for every dollar, they're getting $2 to $3 back on their investment. And you can't beat that. And, you know, since we're in such an unprecedented time of selling homes, and it's a time where we probably won't ever experience again, you know, these homeowners literally have one shot at just doing it right, at just, you know, knocking it out of the park, grand slam. And so that's where I think we come in, even in a market such as this. So high level, that's where we are.
And I love what you said. I think a lot of people will take that path of least resistance. Oh, I don't need to do anything, and I'm going to get multiple offers. So instead of getting multiple offers on a house that's 200, why wouldn't you want to get multiple offers on a house that's now 250 or 260?
That's right.
And they don't have to take any money out of pocket. So can you kind of talk about how it's, you know, they know what the investment's going to be up front. You go through and tell them the cost, and then how it plays out and how long they have to pay.
Yeah, great question. So, you know, as far as how it works, we truly, when we give you a price, we come back to you with a price. The price is what it is. In other words, there's no hidden fees. There's nothing baked in as far as a gotcha or a surprise. We literally, if we tell you it's a $30,000 project, then that's what it is. And we will work as quickly as we can to have the, you know, quality job done for you to where you can be on the market and up and running. As far as, you know, kind of some of the finer points of it, the way that we work it is we give you, the agent, 6 months to sell the home for that price, period, end of story. You can do it sooner, which is typically the case, then it's great. You know, we, as a matter of fact, in the history of the company, we have never once gone 6 months. You're taking 6 months to sell a home. You know, the average is, of course, right now it's throwing the averages off, but even prior to the craziness and the lack of inventory, our average days on market were just over 3 months. So just over 90 days. And now, I mean, it's like, you know, this first weekend, first day, top dollar, over asking, but well over what it would have ever been if they would just left it as is and sold as is.
And you have been doing this for, how long has it been?
You know, with our beta program and everything, we're at 2.5 years now. Actually, coming up on 3 years, like two years and 8 months at this point.
That's great. And when I first talked with Tori last month, I had said to him, well, what happens if somebody doesn't end up selling their house? And it was so funny because there was this pause, and Tori's like, I don't know. It's not happened yet. So
Yeah.
it was, just kind of interesting. And a couple of other things that I really liked and why I really wanted to get this recorded. I definitely want to bring Tori into the office at some point as well to meet everyone in person. But, we were talking about using this information, his service in a farming type environment. So say you have a postcard program or you have different touches and different offerings. This is a great solution to provide, because when people go the iBuyer route, they are thinking that, well, they'll do the repairs, so it'll cost me $17,000. Who cares? I don't have to pay for it. They'll just give me less. And when you can offer something like this actually helps the client realize those benefits and times two or times three or times 1.5 or whatever it is. And all of Upsell, all of their contractors, this is all overseen by them. So there is a difference. I believe Curbio farms things out, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not totally sure, but I believe they farm out the projects, whereas Tori's company, they oversee all of it. So they can get in there, do it quickly. They have full access to these contractors. So do you want to talk a little bit more about how you have these partnerships in place and how that works?
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. And, I've obviously heard good stories about Curbio, and I've heard, some other stories that are, maybe stress points. And I think probably the biggest difference between us is I would look at it as almost like a freight liner versus a speedboat. We're definitely a speedboat. And what I mean by that is we're agile because everything is in-house. They have to wait on things to react and respond just to get out for the first time. If you call us, we try to be out within that week. We try to have your pricing back within days, and then we try to have you scheduled if need be the following week kind of mindset. So it's a big deal. The other important thing to note is not everybody has good ideas, even, whether you're a homeowner or you're an agent. Doesn't mean that there are no agents out there with good taste. I'm not saying that whatsoever. But with Curbio or a program like that, even some of the concierge programs that you've heard about, you as the agent are creating extra work for yourself because or you're relying on hopefully the homeowner makes the proper selections. And if that goes wrong or if that goes poorly and things don't look right, well, now all of a sudden you spent money on something that becomes a deterrent to a potential buyer versus a benefit or a positive thing. With us, I mean, we've literally been a part of hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars worth of real estate sales. So we know what sells, what doesn't. We know what sits and what flies off the shelf. And we try to treat you and your client the way that, as if they were running a big Fortune company that had hundreds of millions of dollars to put towards this. So they're not trying to learn as they go. We truly have the expertise and are able to guide them, from the get-go. So that's a big deal. Plus, my thinking is, as an agent, if we can be out there working for you guys and taking care of the design process and the project in entirety, you're able to spend more time, whether it's showing houses or, going on listing appointments or whatever the case may be. It's all about creating more bandwidth and a bigger revenue stream for you. Because if you look at it over time and you're increasing your property's value by, over and over again by 35 to, $100,000. I mean, think how quickly that adds up in additional commission dollars for you. So there's so many different ways to look at it, and all of them are positive. We just want to be, a partner in this with you guys as agents. We definitely are a huge advocate of the real estate agent. And, we don't want to see anything start to tear away at the fabric of, what is an awesome industry and way to, create life-changing income for yourself.
And I do like how you deal with the agent. So you as an agent, if you introduce this company, it is a partnership. So introduce Upsell My Listing with your client. And then if the client moves forward and you have been the introductory agent, you are, they are committed to keeping you in the loop with this client. So they've even given up business before where an agent has brought in a client and then the client decided to use a different agent, and Upsell My Listing, said, we're not going to continue with the project because the agent that brought in, was the one that we expected to have this partnership with. So it is such a great, again, we talk about creating a team. So now you have your closing attorney, you have your home inspector, you have Upsell My Listing in case someone needs to do renovations, doesn't have cash, wants to really take advantage of how to upsell their listing. And you have your mortgage person and you have your home inspector or home warranty. Like, you are really covering all the services with the top companies out there and really positioning yourself as that expert in the industry.
Holly,
yes.
No, I just wanted to jump in real quick to your point there. We literally had an agent in Alpharetta that introduced us to a client. At the time, he had not secured a listing agreement, which we highly recommend. But if you can't do it, we'll try our best to help you land the deal. He had not. Long story short, the folks decided they wanted to use a different agent. However, they really wanted to use our program, and we truly did. We said, we're not interested. If you want to use us, you're going to have to continue down the path with that particular real estate agent. That's who brought us, and we're going to be loyal to that introduction. They changed their mind and went with that agent after all. So we were able to help them secure a listing that he was going to miss out on, and did the work. And within a long weekend, the house was on off the market with a full price offer. And this is a story that was just before the pandemic after effect, I guess, of the inventory loss and all of that. So it was a really solid story, but it was a good thing for him as well. He was able to secure that. It was a big deal for his family. So we love stories like that.
That's great. And I also love, it kind of protects you in the farming too. If you did want to, you can always talk about you have the service and not mention who it is. But at the same time, if you want to be fully transparent about everything that you offer, I think it's another way that just adds value, and it has that, it just kind of positions you in that better light. Another thing I just wanted to touch on, hold on, I had it in my head, and then when you were talking, I've forgotten it now.
Sorry.
That's okay. Well, let's go ahead and see if anyone has some questions while I think of what it was, because I know that I'll have it. I know Lori's kind of covering, but Carmen or Evie or Robert, I know if you missed in the very beginning, Tori is on vacation and was kind enough to hop in here. So he's in Montana. So that's why you kind of hear the fish in the background. So thank you so much again. And so Upsell My Listing, again, can go in, provide the renovations, and they don't have to pay until the home closes. So do you guys have any specific questions for Tori about this? Looks like Lori does.
Well, this is a thought. It's kind of a silly question, and I apologize because I'm covering up at the front, so I had to go on mute and stuff and may not have heard this if it was discussed. But Tori, is there ever been a case where you guys went in and did the improvements and people didn't want to sell their home or the home couldn't sell? And then what happened?
Sure. So really good question, because there's two scenarios there. One is they truly wanted to sell the home and couldn't make it happen. Has not happened. The longest we've ever taken to sell a home is 4.5 months, and we give them 6 months if that were to ever happen. And I guess at some point, someday, whether it's a year from now or 5 years from now, that will happen. But having said that, if it does, we give them a couple of options. One is after they've ran the full 6-month course, the home hasn't sold, we begin to charge interest only, 18% interest only on the balance owed, and that's not our game plan or our business model per se, but it's a way to provide, a bit of a soft landing for someone and not have them go into panic mode of, having a fire sale or, putting them in a really bad place. And what we do, that'll accrue and it'll just be added at the end when they actually sell the house. That makes sense. So it won't impact them on a daily or a monthly basis, but it would impact them at that point, at the time of the home selling. So that's one scenario. Another scenario is they can, pay it off. They can pay it off with if they decided they're going to take it off the market and now they want to get a home equity line, or they get another way to get a loan, they can pay it off that way. We take money, and we're happy to take money. But we've had folks that literally have, and this agents don't want to hear this. It doesn't happen often, but it has, where we did a bang up job on the house. It looks beautiful. And they decide, you know what, we can't find anything that we like as good as this. And so we're going to keep it. Now, that is a small percentage, but it has happened. And when it does, then, they have to pay us at that point. They can't just continue to sit on it. If they're not on the market with the agent, then, it basically calls the loan to where they need to go ahead and pay us off. It would be the right answer.
Well, thanks for answering that, because, I know that's not totally the market now, where things aren't selling, but this market's not always going to be like this. So I feel
Sure.
like it could eventually go back to a market where we have 120 days minimum on the market kind of thing. So,
well, and I think it's important. Yeah, no, I think it's great. And honestly, it's important to say we were definitely in that type of market. And we have plenty of data to back up what we're doing, have done, even, when days weren't so, simple and easy like they are now, as far as the multiple offers and things like that.
Excellent. I also wanted to, before I'd open it back up to questions, just mention that they have also are compiling education courses, CE courses with DS Murphy. And I think it really lends itself well to understand, what brings value, what brings how much value, what's worth it, what's not worth it. Have you moved along any further on on the class material at all?
Yeah, so what we're kind of trying to time it out probably towards the beginning of the year for a couple of reasons. We're in the process. We've got a building in downtown Alpharetta, right in the heart of everything, and we will actually have a nice event center there with a classroom setting to offer those types of things. It can happen there. It can happen in your office, whatever. But we're kind of just trying to time it all out to happen at the same time.
Excellent. Thank you. Evie, Robert, Carmen, any questions?
I have a question. Yeah. So I'm thinking of a listing that I actually have right now that it's kind of like a fixer upper. And a lot of the feedback that I've been getting is that, people just don't want to put in the work to do it. So I'm thinking this might be the perfect thing. My concern is that it's not in a neighborhood. I obviously have pulled comps. There's not a ton of comps. So I guess my concern would be, how do we determine, or do you help us to determine how much it's going to be worth after they make this investment?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So we do a couple of things. We have a pretty good pulse on things. Obviously we want to lean on your expertise as well. But the other thing that we offer is through DS Murphy is a pre-listing appraisal. And they can actually take the items that we're doing and let you know as is, we would recommend you listing around this number. And if you do these things, then we would recommend you listing at this number. So it actually adds an added level of clarity It's not really expensive to do, and it's definitely valuable. So depending on the situation, right? But I get where you're coming from on a little more of a complicated, less data to go off of type of property. What do you do there? But we can definitely provide solutions for you.
Okay, thank you.
Robert?
Yep, I've got a follow up on that.
Yeah.
So Tori, does your designer work with the owner to say, all right, based on this neighborhood, choose this type of floor instead of this type of floor, to make sure they don't put too much into the property based on the repairs that needs to be done?
Yeah, so we do look at all of those things. It goes a little differently than that, though, because I guess just like any game, there's rules to every game. And one of the main rules that we have is, we make the call on what goes in the home, and we've had very few homeowners, when we explain why, give us pushback to the point where they just don't want to do it. But at the end of the day, that's their option, right? Our option is to not invest in the property and not partner with them if they don't want to, heed our word, if that makes sense. And I don't mean that in an arrogant way. It's just we've been there, we've done that, we've done it enough times in all the different price points that when we feel strongly about something, we're going to dig our heels in. Now, having said that, we've had moments, and I can give you one example where, and this was, once again, I always have, stories that date back beyond when inventory was so low, because that's the real life scenarios. All the fun stories now are, we got 3 times the ROI kind of thing. But back before that, we had a home that we recommended them doing all these things. Well, they were adamant that they did not want to change the carpet out in this one location, and they wanted to leave it, and it was in good shape and whatever. And, finally we acquiesced and just said, okay, you know what? We believe strongly enough in the area, and you'll do these things and we'll move forward, and we'll actually invest in the project and do it for you. We did, and the house sat. And the same agent had another property that they listened to everything that we did, and it sold in the first weekend. And so she shared this story with the property owners, with the homeowners of the home that was just kind of sitting there. They finally changed their mind. We went in, we did what we originally wanted to do, and it sold that weekend. Now, that could be a little bit of good timing and good fortune on our part that we lucked out. But I'm just giving that as an example of, we really do feel strongly that we have a clear path in most every case that we can help if they'll trust us, and it works out really well for them.
Yeah, I think that's great. And you have that in the documents they sign that say they're going to do what you tell them to do. Okay.
Yeah,
that's great.
That brings me to a question. When we're on the website and I went in and hit start, is the homeowner filling all that out, or that's all just from the homeowner, or does the agent fill it out, or how does that work?
It's geared for the agent, but I mean, either way, I mean, if the homeowner does it, that's fine. Because one of the first questions we ask is, how did you hear about us? And then they're going to give us, the agent's name. If they don't have an agent, let's just say somebody found out about us and they just did started the process. When we ask that question, well, we require them to work with an agent. So they're not going to just be able to fly in, utilize our program, and not involve one of you guys. So that works out well, because, if and when we do get those type of clients, they don't have an agent, someone who's already gone through our program, we're going to start to train. And that was one thing that Holly represented earlier. But and at some point we'll have a certification where you're Upsell certified, and we'll pull from that talent pool of agents if we have a referral, and we'll send that particular person who doesn't have an agent your way. And the bigger we grow, obviously that's going to become more of a thing than it currently is. But we just really try to keep a tight rein on the fact that, if the agent comes first, period, end of story. I'll give up a $100,000 job to stay in good standings with you guys. And I can promise you that.
I love that. And in thinking of that, with the farming, feel free to farm and utilize, the company information. The other thing is, I know that you guys send out a bunch of emails. So those have, just so everyone knows, like some of them in certain accounts, I'll get them in my regular, but lately I've seen them in my junk folder in Outlook. So if you're not currently getting emails from them that have really great information, let me know and I'll make sure I get Tori added you to the list. Their company, and they are marketing to agents. They do not market to the public. So really the way it would get out to the public would be if somebody was farming or if they just stumbled across it, I guess, or I don't know, but that is a huge benefit. And that was another reason that I really felt compelled to find out more about Upsell My Listing and, hear more from Tori. So sound organization, great resource for your clients, and just, I think, a win-win for your sellers, for yourself, and for Upsell. So just a great service. Any other questions? Evie or Carmen or Robert, did you have another question, or Lori?
No, I'm good.
You good?
Yep.
Okay, so this is recorded. I'm going to put this up. Tori, you may get some more, I may get more feedback from the Facebook groups that this will go into. And again, if you're not receiving emails from Upsell and would like to hear, because they'll tell you all kinds of great ways to utilize it and other things that they do, let me know and I'll make sure we get you in that email distribution.
Hey, I've got one more, Holly.
Yeah.
If you don't mind. So Tori, how long would you say that you're running on initial contact with the seller to, if everything goes smoothly, to the job being done? And I know that depends on how much work is done and the extent of the renovation, but what do you typically see nowadays with your contractors and getting everything done?
Yeah, I would say, if we got out, let's just say we got out on a Monday, all right? And by, later that week, they should have pricing back. And let's just say everything looks good. That should be signed off on. We should be able to start the project the following week. From there, depending on the size of the job, most contractors, GCs will say, $1,000 per day. We're well above that. We're super efficient and we cross-train our guys. So it does not take us nearly as long. We had a really cool project that had just sat and sat and sat. They finally used us. We did about a $40,000 job and we knocked it out in 20 days from the time we started, which was, a pretty big deal. And then the house actually was looking so good that they got a full price offer before we even completed the project. And then it timed out that we were already there. They had done their inspection report. There were little things that any inspector, was going to find that had nothing to do with our project. And we went in and handled those little items for them while we were there. That was a unique case, but we did it and they closed literally right after we finished the project. So try to be super efficient with all of that, but it's a good question. I would say, anywhere from start to 2 weeks, start to, or meet, the first meeting, 2 weeks to, maybe 4 weeks. So on a big project, may go a little bit more than that.
That's awesome. I think it's a great concept. And Holly, I appreciate you having Tori here, and thanks for your time, Tori. I think it's a good idea.
Yes, sir.
Hey,
and one other thing,
Mm-hmm.
just as kind of a filter or threshold, the jobs pricing wise, the program is set up to suit for, a job that's starting around $10,000. And then our kind of sweet spot is 10 to 50,000. Doesn't mean we won't do something that's more expensive. That's just kind of typical, the ones that we can get in and knock it out quickly and move forward. But, we run into certain homes that, require more things. And so, if you're looking at a 1950s home where everything in it's going to have to be redone and you're thinking it's a $200,000 project and we're going to have to go pull permits and all of those things, you got to, keep in mind the scope of the job. If we're not having to, pull permits and we're doing more of the cosmetic things or the trust factors like roof and HVAC and things like that. That's really where we do our best work.
Excellent. And I did not look on the website fully. Are there like before and after pictures? Did you have some of that stuff on the website, or?
You know, we haven't done a great job of that. We do have a catalog, and we'll work towards getting before and after. I can definitely provide that type of stuff, you know, for you. It's honestly just been so busy that it sounds terrible to say we haven't needed that, but we haven't needed that. But it's funny you say that, though. Literally this past week, that was one of the conversations and projects on one of our folks' plates now, is to start to corral all that and just to give people a better sense of everything that we've been able to do.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I so appreciate you taking time, and we will have you in the office to meet people in person when you're.
I would love that.
Yes, when you're able. We'll do another one, and maybe a lunch and learn or something for sure. I
awesome.
really appreciate you taking your time. I hope you're catching lots of fish out there in Montana.
Well, I was going to say, if you're keeping score, I have not caught one fish on this call. Okay, so but that's about to change, right?
That's going to change. All right. Well,
listen,
thank you
so much.
Yes, thank you so much. And thanks everybody for hopping on. This will be located on our Facebook pages, so you can access it later.
Have a great day. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.